here today with Miss Tina Swann, and today we'll be talking about abusive relationships.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So what exactly is an abusive relationship?
There are different types of abuse, and it usually starts off as like an emotional abuse, and that will eventually escalate to physical abuse. But the emotional could be anything that is degrading to someone, and this is not just singled out as women. You know, men are abused as well.
Exactly.
But yeah, so it usually is going to start out anything that where one person is very possessive of another one, extreme jealousy, where they isolate that person away from friends and family.
Right.
But one thing is, don't ever allow another person to put their hands on you. You know, one thing that they will do in emotional is they may scream and yell and call you names. That's abuse. It doesn't matter if they put their hands on you or not. That is a form of abuse. But the minute they touch you in any way, you need to leave that relationship, because it's just going to escalate to something even more. If you've allowed that, and they know that they can continue to come back into your life, then it's just going to get it's going to become more harmful.
Right. How would you detect that a person might be abusive?
I think that a lot of that comes from the heart of a person.
Right.
You can detect that. Just listen to the language that they use. If they're using very harsh language, and it might not just be directed at you, but there may be other people around, whether they know them or they don't know them, and slander, you know, they are using what I call colorful language against someone else.
Right.
That's going to eventually probably turn towards you. Like we've mentioned before, the jealousy.
Right.
If they need to know your whereabouts at all times, or they want to text you and you don't respond immediately,
right, exactly,
then they're all warning signs that, you know, something's coming down the track with that.
Right. And why do you think that women or men stay in these abusive relationships for so long?
You know, that comes with the heart of a person. You know, a lot of times it's someone's either extremely lonely, that the other person has convinced them that no one will ever love them like they do. And it could be financial, and they don't think that they can escape that relationship because they don't have the means or the support to do that. So they just remain in a relationship like that.
That's true. That is true. And how can one develop self-love with God?
One thing you need to do, God is always your priority. He needs to be the first in your life. And when you have that walk with God, and you know it's a strong relationship, and this isn't just, you know, on the fence where you have 1 foot in the world and 1 foot with God, because you're going to teeter with that, and you're going to fall off into the world. So a strong relationship with God, that means knowing exactly what His Word says, and you have that in your heart.
Right. So what are the keys to avoid being in an abusive relationship?
One is to avoid that. If you have like a good heart, if you have a strong heart, and you're walking with God, you're going to look at the heart of another person, and those things that you know are going against what God says and what His Word says, then you'll avoid those. So it comes with really yourself in to look at someone else and say it's all their fault.
Right.
That's not all their fault, because if your heart were healed and it's walking where you need to be, you would never allow that situation. So a lot of times that's coming with the person that their heart's already broken and damaged, and that could have stemmed from childhood. Something may have happened early on, and maybe, you know, it's just gone and spiraled out of control, and they're just allowing any person into their life.
Right. So then after you have God, then what?
After you have God, and then you've applied that, you know, in your heart, what you're doing now is your heart is stronger, and you're continuing to walk with God, and that may be isolating yourself just so that you can get healed and know who you are. So that work on yourself for a while before you allow yourself to go out and date and have someone else in your life. And even if it could be really close friends, or it could be even a family member, and if they are abusive to you in any way, you can honor them from a distance. And the way that you do that is like if someone came up to you and said, oh, how is your mom doing, or how is your dad doing, or whoever it is, and that person has been abusive to you, just go, they're doing well, and leave it at that. But you don't go into a whole spiel about what all that they've done. That's honoring that person, and just leave it at that.
Okay. So now, is love with God and self-love the only two things?
No, once you have, you have God first,
Right.
and then the healing within your heart, and then you want to place boundaries around, and that's like having a fence around you, just
Right.
like you would have a fence around your property.
Yeah.
No one trespasses, no one crosses over that fence.
Exactly.
And so once you have those boundaries in place, you don't allow anyone else to step on those.
Right.
And you're strong enough then to go, you know what, this is not healthy for me, and I'm not allowing that in my life, because guess what? It's going to destroy you every time if you allow that to come into your life.
That's true. That is true. Now, what can you say to a person who's in an abusive relationship as of right now?
If you're going through any type of abuse, whether it's emotional, physical, confide in someone that you feel is really close to you and is going to keep that confidential. They can help you get out of that. There's always support out there. There's someone that can
Right.
help you out of this relationship. If you don't move and get away from it, it's going to destroy you.
Exactly.
And the risk of, I know it's difficult to walk away, but the risk of leaving versus staying,
Yeah.
You may not survive
Exactly.
if you stay in that relationship. And anyone is welcome to contact me, and you can do that through Tina Swann and Facebook,
Okay.
and private message me that way. There are plenty of services that are available.
Right.
Find someone, a local church, to go and confide in, and let someone help you out of this before it's too late.
Right. That is true. And again, we want to thank you for the interview.
Thank
and
you.
Hopefully this message has reached somebody who's been listening and is going through this as of right now.